was this question? How do you deal with egotistical senior colleagues at work? It's very vague. You just say yes, okay, and keep doing your work. Very calmly point out that what they did was just normal. If they did something very normal that they're expected to do, and they're like, oh, I'm the greatest because I did this simple thing, you just be like, thank you for doing the expected task. You don't have to be super passive aggressive, but like, you know. You know what I'm saying? I've had some people that I dealt with in my work where they would do like not even the bare minimum and be like, oh yeah, I'm such a cool developer because I did this thing. And I'd be like, okay, say nothing. Don't praise them, right? They did some basic ass shit. They're like, yeah, I wrote up a real good email to that guy and convinced him to do this thing. And it's like not that impressive. You just be like, all right, anyway, and just move on. Just don't give them anything, right? And then hopefully they'll just stop like telling you about every little thing like it's something crazy. And if they like want praise from you, if you don't need to be like this, don't be an asshole, you know, just be like, okay, that's good. Like, all right, cool. That's a really good one. Cool. Don't say anything else. Nice. Just a single word. Because they'll go and they'll tell you like this whole paragraph about, oh, I just did this thing, blah, 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 blah. And it's like what they're expected to do is not that amazing. You just go, cool. And keep looking down. Don't even look at them after, you know? Like, just give them nothing. You know, and that's one way to not be, like, super passive-aggressive, but to just, like, have them sit there during the silence and maybe get introspective and realize, maybe that wasn't that cool. Right? If they're a huge asshole and you want to get passive-aggressive, then you say, like, oh, do you want a medal? You know, you start saying shit like that, but, like, best to not get there. Best to not get to that point. Sure is your go-to? Yeah, sure is a good one. And not the sarcastic sure, just sure. All right. Like, that's just really, you know, it just doesn't give them anything. You said more the kind that come down hard on juniors for not worshiping them. Yeah, then you have the choice of, do you need that person to like you to do what you want in your career? If so, are you willing to just pretend that you think they're great? Or do you not need that, and can you just do whatever you want in that situation? Yeah, that's tough because sometimes you do have to play the game, right? If I pulled a sure with the person in my mind, they would explode. Yeah, if they're at that point where if you don't sing their praises, it's a problem. Do the minimum. Just do the minimum. That's it. Figure out where the threshold is of what you have to say and don't say more than that. But also make sure everyone's on the same page with that. Because if you do the minimum, but some other junior is like, oh, this guy's the best, then it's like, you know, now you're the bad guy. And that might actually affect your career, which is not worth it. It's not worth it. But yeah, that's tough. Usually the answer is actually to just go along with it. Not crazy, but just in basic ways and be like, yeah, this guy's great. What I tend to do is, you can kill with positivity a little bit. Thank them for small things and for things that you really appreciate, right? If they want you to think they're so cool, and to be like, you know, they do a thing and you're like, oh my God, you're the best, let's say it's programming, you're like, you're the best dev ever, you're like our top engineer or whatever. Instead, when they just do a little thing for you, be like, thank you so much, I appreciate that. How nice of you, right? And just turn it into the thing that you like about them is them as a person and not their work. like try to redirect it a little bit, and sometimes redirecting it to something else makes it so that it's easier for you to be positive about that thing about them rather than like their work when it doesn't feel, you know, earned necessarily. That doesn't work with everyone, but you know, depending on the person, you might be able to do it. I don't know, but it's tough. Just see if you can find something to redirect it to. That's the best way to get around it sometimes. I don't know, I had one guy that was working under for a project who, he was a project manager. He would take people's work, do the thing he's supposed to do for his job, which is go talk to someone else and be like, this is what our team did. And then every time he'd come back into a meeting, he'd be like, oh, you wouldn't believe, oh, it was so hard to talk to these guys. I presented the work that the team did, whatever, and they think we're doing the best. And, you know, really it's the way I present it. It's because, like, I'm talking the way I pitch these things to people, the way I talk about ideas, really, like, we have this work, we have this status as a team because I'm in these meetings talking about, and dude would just go on and on and on, and I was like, okay, the dude is like pretty good. He was better than average. He was pretty good at getting ideas, you know, beyond the idea phase that some little dev said in his team or something, right? He could present ideas, cool, but he wasn't like some god, you know, like he was making himself sound like he was. So what I did was he would say a thing like that, and I'd be like, yeah, you know, I'm just glad that we have a manager like you that does your job. What I did was I made him the normal. I made him my perceived, this is what you're supposed to do. Yeah, that's just your job. And everyone else was bad, okay? So I'd be like, thank God I finally have a manager that just like actually just does the baseline thing they're supposed to do. Because, you know, most managers don't. And he'd go along with it and be like, yeah, that's right, I do. Well, he wouldn't say like this, you know, but like, yeah, I do the baseline minimum that others don't do. You know what I mean? It was like, and I wouldn't say it in like a really shady way or anything, but I just needed to make it very clear that he was doing what he was supposed to do. Not that much more, right? I'd be like, yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that on some other projects, you know, sometimes I'd have someone that just wouldn't even do the work that they were paid for, and I'm just glad you're getting it done. Right? So it was like I was patting him on the back for doing his job, which was like not that great, but it was more bearable for me to do that than to be like, you're the greatest manager on the planet, you know? So that was my coping mechanism, I guess, for that guy. I did the same strat for, there was another guy who did